I already explained the origin and purpose of the Path of Divergence in my last Mind episode, so for this episode I'll just focus on the video itself. A few months back, Otch, another Paradise Perceptions member, showed a preview of an edit he was making. I really liked the effects and the concept he had, so after seeing the preview I asked him if I could duel with him, but he lost motivation and sort of scrapped his edit. However, he ended up finishing the edit and he released it later. I'll link it in the description for you guys to watch it, if you haven't already. Back when I was still trying to duel with him, he let me use the song for my own edit, so I began creating the Path of Divergence, which would fit into my allegory but be inspired by Otch's edit. I even put his logo in the edit as an Easter egg. Previous allegory videos had much more depth. They were always made to tell part of a story. Divergence is much more disconnected from the rest of the series, as it was meant to simply share a message. Seek not solace in infinity, only hell waits at the door. The faceless will crave for more, and you will become your greatest enemy. The actions seen throughout the edit are a reflection of that message. So let's start off with the first one. Seek not solace in infinity. I shouldn't be doing the same kind of edits repeatedly even if I'm comfortable with them. The island symbolizes this sentence. Think of the island as a comfort zone. Everything on it is the type of editing I like doing, the usual dark, symbolic allegory videos. Everything else is the sea. I don't go there. If I do, I might drown in the unknown, the fear of trying a new style or game and failing. Also, the Spartan in this video is trapped in an infinite cycle of killing herself, which relates to the last line, which I'll get to soon. She also plays a much bigger role in Path of Silence, so I won't talk about her. I will say that she is not a fragment, which makes her special in this case, and in Divergence there's not much meaning to her. She just serves as an image for the last line of the message. Only a hell waits at the door. You approach an island with excitement, thinking you'll finally be able to escape the sea and rest, but you are only met with the hell of an eternal cycle of sameness. When I first started the Allegory of the Void, I expected comfort. As I was saying earlier, machinizations were something I believed to finally be my signature style, the thing I would be known for, the videos I would enjoy making the most. However, I quickly realized that that was a huge lie. Machinizations ended up being my preferred style and the thing I was known for, but the amount of planning, scrapping, montaging, and editing I did for each episode was something I grew to despise. I didn't realize what I was getting myself into until it was too late. Once I stepped through that door, it was over. By the time I got to Divergence, I just hated the series so much that I just gave up on finishing the trilogy as a whole. But a few months later, I finally found the motivation to finish the trilogy. The multiple shadows on the water represent the multiple iterations my videos go through and all the scrapped ideas I've accumulated over the years. These are the ghosts no one ever sees but me. The Spartan gets dragged into a dark portal and the cycle repeats, just like I'm in a cycle where I stress over consistently trying to create these high quality videos full of metaphors and meaning that surpass the previous one but still stay similar, then scrapping or reiterating upon those same ideas when I don't think they meet those standards. Each time I pass through that portal, another shadow appears. Having to script each episode in the allegory individually instead of writing the entire story beforehand really didn't help my incessant dissatisfaction, I suppose. I was constantly caught between thinking of new ideas, changing old ones, and maintaining the coherence of the story by avoiding any continuity errors, as I've said in my previous episode. As a result, the recent allegory episodes became less ambitious than they originally were. I've had great ideas, but I'd always suppress them because they either just weren't possible in Halo 5, or couldn't be executed well enough for me to be satisfied. In the end, I would repeatedly end up with the same story structure every episode. Just throw in saber and green screen effects and you have a Bullet Rebel video. Anyway, next line. The faceless will crave for more. In this context, I'm talking about Faceless Gray, not Faceless Black. If you recall, Gray is the one you saw in Eclipse and Blood Moon, who represents my audience. But this line actually has two meanings. The faceless can either crave for more of the same, or crave for more than just the same. You do see Faceless Black at the end of the video, watching over the Spartan suffering in infinity, I initially was going to integrate heaven into the allegory, which is why the faceless at the end is in the same location, but I didn't have any solid ideas with it and abandoned that idea altogether. At the end of heaven, when the guy gets shot off the floating island, he would fall into hell, and then there was going to be another video, then I was going to have more allegory related events with hell, but I removed all of it. So as a result, you get an ending that doesn't make any sense. But back to Faces Gray, making one good video and attracting the attention of people is easier than making all your videos similar with the same quality and popularity as that viral video. When I look at Blood Moon sitting at like 5k views now, I keep wondering if it would have done well had it not been featured by Halo. I got all excited about people liking my machinages, so I get motivated to make more, then I made Eternity and it feels like it flopped relative to how Blood Moon did. And of course it's expected, one got featured by Halo and the other didn't. It still made me disappointed and discouraged to make more videos. I began questioning myself, what's the point of spending months on a video when you can just make 3 short edits in the same amount of time that would perform even better, and would certainly be much more healthy for my sanity. Another feeling I constantly have is that people only want to see what they're subscribed for. If you subscribe from Blood Moon when it was featured, you probably expect big machinages. If you subscribe for edits, then you expect edits. If you subscribe for that one live commentary I did years ago, you're probably very disappointed now. An example of this was when Roses was featured on United. Instead of working on something different like another Mind of an Editor episode or a machinage, I had the urge to make more generic edits like Lotus, just to please those potentially new subscribers. Because I think the faceless will crave for more of the same. I didn't want to turn them away by making them subscribe to me from Roses and then, oh, look at this, he's making some sad commentary. I felt like I had to make a few more edits before I released another commentary or something different, or else they would lose interest in me. In addition, I end up having high expectations for myself. Of course, that can be great for self-improvement, but with the personality I have, it just makes me worse. I end up disliking almost everything I make because the end result is nowhere near as good as it was in my head. All this to say that if I keep giving people more of the same, they'll keep wanting the same because that's what they expect. If I start to branch out, I'm afraid people will lose interest in me. And this doesn't apply to those who've been with me for years, you guys are awesome. This is more about the new people who might recently come across my channel not knowing what I do necessarily. On the other hand, when people crave for more than just the same, it's just as bad for me because I'm afraid of trying something new and having it fail. Then both sides, my audience and I, end up being disappointed. For example, when I first started this Mind series, it failed in my eyes. So few people watch these episodes compared to regular edits, and there's far less interaction than I would have expected, that it just makes me not really willing to put more effort into this series. Remember in the first episode when I had a Q&A section? I quickly realized that I wouldn't be able to keep that up because no one comments. Or, well, not no one, but a few people comment on here. And at the same time, well, it's expected because I'm an editor, not a commentator, so if ever I release a commentary, it's expected to have less interaction, but at the same time, it's always still disappointing to see. So as much as I want to have varied content, I'm always more inclined to stay on the same old path and not try new things. Oh, almost no one watches Mind of an Editor. Maybe I shouldn't bother trying live commentaries either, since that will probably fail too. From my perspective, you have part of the audience that wants more of the same, then the other half wants something different, and then you have those few who don't care as long as I'm making content. And that's the audience I want. But I end up not knowing who to please anymore. As much as it's important to make videos for yourself, the whole point of YouTube is to share your creation with others. So obviously I'd want to make something everyone enjoys, and I want to reach the most amount of people possible. Finding that balance between experimenting and maintaining usual content is something I don't think I do well. It doesn't help that I'm incredibly inactive. It can take me over 2 months to make a single video. So that brings us to the final line. And you will become your greatest enemy. Essentially, the only thing holding me back from being happy with what I do is myself. And Halo 5, but mainly myself. I've become my own enemy by putting my content before myself, and lately I have been wanting to change that by putting more of my personality forward. Making new series, using my voice more, collabing. Anyway, the way this relates to the video is with the Spartan being stuck in an infinite cycle of killing herself. She is her greatest enemy because this is the only island she chooses to see, the only island she chooses to go to, and she only has herself to interact with. When you're alone, you only have your own thoughts, which can turn into a friend or an enemy. In summary, the purpose of Divergence was mainly just to share that message. There aren't really any big metaphors or void and fragment stuff like in other videos. Finally, you'll get to know how everything ends with the path of silence.